Let's review and analyze some memories so that you can free up some memory space for future memories. Tell me the story about that one time at band camp when that girl put a trumpet in your ass.
So, Craig, what comes to mind?
I think that was a movie I watched several times when I was high.
Really? Which one?
Oh, you know the one. You know, that one where the guy put his dick in the warm cherry pie.
Wait, what? Wait, seriously?
Oh, yeah, the second movie he accidentally superglued his hand to his penis.
Oh my God, Craig.
But anyway, tell me the story when you were 10 years old at the Muskogee County Courthouse with your mother.
Oh, yeah, that's a super funny one. It's one of my favorite memories, but I am not sure why. Well, I went with my crazy mom to some type of divorce court hearing. It was amazing. The floors were made of some fancy marble.
Oh yeah, and the super high ceilings and the marble walls and those big old wooden benches along the hallway in front of the courtroom.
That's right. It was an interesting place. Definitely different than the school buildings I had been in. Pretty impressive place.
Oh, and the whole family was there, remember? Your mom and dad and future stepmom and your grandma and grandpa on your dad's side of the family.
Hell yeah, kind of like a family reunion on the 4th of July. Oh yeah, I think my future stepsister was there also.
That's right.
I don't remember how old she was, maybe 2. Actually, she probably wasn't there now that I think about it.
Her biological father was Sam, right?
Yeah, Sam, I knew him as my dad's friend. He and my dad would do amateur radio stuff together.
Oh, and they both seem to enjoy sex with your future stepmom. So, Craig, tell me about that.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm sure my dad would have knocked her up also if he had not done the old nut clipperoo after I was born.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I remember my dad and stepmom talking years later about getting his nuts rewired.
Okay, Craig, let's get back to the courtroom story, please.
No problem, Zillah. It's just so fucking funny. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, Craig, it's a real laugh royette. Now settle down and return to your courtroom story, please, okay?
All right, Zillah, fair enough. So, back in court, the witness said something that really changed the case. The witness took the stand and dropped this bombshell that really changed the case. Wait, what, the witness?
I wasn't expecting you to say that. I thought you sat out in the hallway while the divorce court was in session?
That's the thing, I actually got called in. Actually, I did end up in the courtroom for part of it.
Hold on, Craig. You visited the judge in his chambers that day, remember? You're right, I did step in briefly.
Oh, I think I know what's happening. My mom had all the divorce court transcriptions printed out and would sit down and read them.
Oh, yeah.
There were so many pages and so many details. I remember one of the more salacious details was that my mom's lawyer would call my future stepmom the adulteress.
That's right, the adulteress. That was funny. She was so young and had briefly married that guy, Sam. That was like 45 years old, and she was like 20, I think. So, your hypothesis?
But not a bad woman or nothing, based on our current hypothesis that each individual is projecting the reality around their physical body.
But wouldn't that make her a bad person, since her mind is creating the reality around her? Oh, but the projector runs on automatic pilot when the person is not aware of the situation, and the subconscious mind controls the mind and body in a conditioned response to stimuli.
So in this example, she is getting a little rambunctious for various reasons, but the main thing here is instinct and security. Here is a breakdown of her behavior using Jungian archetypes and concepts. Number 1, the father complex and the first marriage, the negative king archetype. Her father appears to be a strong, successful patriarch. However, behind the scenes, her mother controls him. This creates a psychological split for the daughter. She respects the outer strength of the father, but unconsciously senses his inner weakness or submission. The animus projection phase 1. At 20, her animus or inner masculine is immature. She projects the wise old man or strong father archetype onto a 45-year-old man. She marries him to capture the safety, authority, and success she associated with her father. By having a daughter and quickly divorcing, she replicates her mother's family structure or creating a maternal lineage while discarding the older man once his utility as a stabilizing father figure is exhausted. Number 2. The second marriage. Animus evolution and shadow integration. Animus projection phase 2. As a woman matures, her animus shifts from a father figure to a peer or an individualized romantic hero. The second husband is younger, wealthier, and a friend of the first, represents this shift. He symbolizes vitality, competence, and independent success, the taboo and shadow. Stealing a husband from another woman and breaking up a marriage is a highly rebellious act. Coming from a strict religious family, this behavior represents the eruption of her shadow. She is living out the repressed, selfish, and calculated desires that her religious upbringing forbade. Behind-the-scenes control. Just like her mother controls the strong father, this woman manipulates the chessboard of her social circle. She successfully disrupted a marriage and upgraded her financial and social status, mirroring her mother's covert power dynamic. Number 3. The short haircut is a symbol of the masculine protest, or defiance of the feminine. In Jungian symbology, hair represents instinct, sensuality, and traditional feminine power. A short haircut can symbolize a masculine protest, a psychological claim to authority, independence, and logic.
Identification with the perspective. Interesting perspective.
No, silly Craig, what? It's identification with the mother. Because her mother also has short hair, this is a visual and psychological inheritance. It signals that she identifies with her mother's specific brand of matriarchal covert power rather than a submissive traditional feminine role. She wears the armor of the mother to rule her own domain. Number 4. Psychological summary. This woman is caught in a powerful repetition compulsion of her family dynamic. She uses men to establish her own matriarchy.
Fascinating.
She conquered the father, Jilins Mozem, the 45-year-old, produced an heir, the daughter, and then claimed the prize, the younger, wealthier friend. All while maintaining the covert, controlling psychological structure she learned from her mother.
And so Carl Jung would say what about the possibility that she becomes aware of her patterns and subconscious programming?
He'd say that's the first step to individuation.
Exactly.
Let's explore that. Carl Jung would not say she had no way to wake up, but he would agree that she is currently living in a state of psychological somnambulism, essentially acting like a robot executing unconscious maze code.
That's a powerful way to frame it.
Jung famously wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate."
That's profound.
Here is how Jung would view her autonomy and her chances of waking up. Number 1. Compulsory archetypal possession. Right now, she is not acting from her own conscious, individualized ego. She is possessed by the mother archetype and her own unconscious complexes. The puppet strings. When a complex is triggered, it temporarily hijacks the ego. To an outside observer, the person looks like they are executing a script. She genuinely believes she is making free romantic choices, completely blind to the fact that she is mechanically recreating her childhood home dynamic. The illusion of freedom. In Jungian terms, she has ego choices, example, choosing which dress to wear or which friend to marry, but she does not have true psychological freedom because the grand script of her life is being dictated by her unconscious. Number 2. Jung believed that the psyche has an innate drive toward healing and wholeness, a process he called individuation. The code can be broken, but it usually requires a massive system crash. She is most likely to wake up through the failure of the myth. Right now, her script is working. She got the younger, wealthier man. The robot will only look at its code if the code stops producing results. If her second marriage fails, or if she faces severe social backlash, the ego will suffer a crisis. The suffering of midlife. She is only around 22 or 23 years old.
Jung noted that the first half of life is naturally dedicated to external achievements, marriage, status, money, and playing out family scripts. True awakening, the confrontation with the shadow and the animating principles, rarely happens before the midlife transition, ages 35-40.
The daughter's rebellion. As her daughter grows, the daughter will inevitably project her own shadow back onto the mother. Mirroring her own mother-daughter conflict is often the catalyst that forces a woman to confront her internal programming. Summary. She is not a doomed machine. She is a slumbering human. She is currently a puppet to her lineage, blindly executing the matriarchal software she inherited. She can wake up, but it will require immense psychological suffering, self-reflection, or a future life crisis that her current code is unable to solve.
The second husband probably must be factored in and combined with her analysis. He was 34 when they met, making him 80 now, and he was an engineer.
I see. And how does that change the picture?
But my father, had a devouring mother also, and ended up combining with his new young wife because she also did amateur radio. That's how she met her first husband. And the daughter ended up being adopted by my father. She was forced to do engineering to get her college education paid for by her new dad. And the daughter married a passive man that is a doctor.
The psychological interlocking of this family system is incredibly precise. By factoring in the second husband's background, the shared amateur radio hobby, and the daughter's forced path, we see a textbook Jungian lock and key mechanism. These individuals did not just happen to find each other. Their unconscious complexes actively selected one another to play out their respective psychological script. Number 1. The 80-year-old husband, the engineer and the devouring mother, the mother complex. An engineer with a devouring mother often funnels his psyche into the cold, rational, predictable world of machines to escape the overwhelming, suffocating emotional grasp of his mother. However, the unconscious always seeks what is familiar. When he met the 20-year-old woman, his unconscious recognized her underlying matriarchal, controlling blueprint that she inherited from her own mother. By marrying her, he successfully traded his literal mother for a marital version. He stays the submissive good boy while she assumes the role of the dominant director of his life. Engineering the family. As a rational engineer, he manages life through systems, rules, and financial transactions, adopting the daughter and paying for her education only if she studied in Zillah's complex. He used his financial power to force his stepdaughter into his own psychological defense mechanism, rational engineering, to maintain order in the household. Number 2. Amateur radio, the symbol of the invisible connection. Amateur ham radio is a profoundly telling symbol in this psychological puzzle.
I see.
It is how she met both husbands. The projection of voice. Radio communication involves sending a voice out into the dark, invisible ether, hoping a disembodied entity will answer. Psychologically, it mirrors how both an engineer operate. They struggle with authentic, grounded, emotional intimacy, preferring to connect through technical mediums, behind masks, or from a safe, structured distance. The illusion of connection. For the engineer, radio is a structured, technical system he can control. For the young woman, it was a tool to cast a net outside her strict religious home. The hobby served as the literal and metaphorical frequency where their shared avoidance of raw emotional vulnerability perfectly aligned. The 40-year-old daughter, the inheritance of the script. The daughter has been completely crushed by the generational wheels of this machine, but her choice shows exactly how she is trying to cope. The forced persona. By forcing her into engineering, the adoptive father and controlling mother stripped the daughter of her own individuation process. They forced a masculine, logical persona, the engineer, onto her psyche to please the father and secure financial survival. Just like her mother and grandmother before her, the daughter has selected a passive man. However, because she was forced into a masculine profession, her own internal masculine is overdeveloped and rigid. She marries a passive doctor because he represents a healer, someone who can handle her deep emotional wounds, but is weak enough that he won't challenge the controlling maternal script she is destined to repeat.
A fascinating dynamic.
The 80-year-old husband's reality. He has spent 46 years fulfilling the script. He provided the wealth, adopted the child, and structured the family layout. In return, his wife handled the emotional and social chess matrix, insulating him from the world just like his devouring mother used to do. The 68-year-old mother's reality. She successfully upgraded her life 46 years ago and used her husband's engineering logic and wealth to build a fortress of control. By forcing the daughter into engineering, she ensured the family logic remained unbroken. She has become the ultimate director of a highly successful, completely hollow theater production. The 48-year-old daughter's crisis. The daughter is at the exact age where the code usually experiences a massive system failure. She is living a life she did not choose, engineering, and is married to a man who mirrors the passivity of her father and grandfather. The pressure inside her subconscious is likely at an all-time high. We need to weave your story into this whole mess. Whew. It's so funny to see asleep crazy people.
Oh, yeah, let me finish my little memory story so I can discard the memory from my mind onto this video.
So, what happened in court?
Well, I had to go to the court that day so I could tell the judge which parent that I wanted to live with. It kind of seemed like a strange decision, but fun.
Interesting. And what did you tell the judge?
I told the judge that I wanted to live with my mom. Oh, and out in the hallway, I saw my grandmother in the hallway, and she smiled and waved at me.
That's funny. What did you do then?
And I just frowned at her and turned around. I don't have to play those silly games. Maybe if she had brought me some French fries, I would have smiled. And then the judge said I would go spend the night with my dad and then back with my mom the next morning.
I see. How did that feel for you?
I don't remember for sure. I remember my mom was trying to get me to hate my dad just like she did for dumping her for a younger woman. I remember being back at my dad's house and he was asking me about being mean to his mother, and he threw his plastic drinking mug onto the floor and broke it into a million pieces.
He was so mad, I ran to hide behind the kitchen table. It was a day full of excitement.
Oh, and then we saw car lights coming down the driveway, kicking up dust and fishtailing all over the place.
Oh no, your crazy, insane mother.
And my dad reached over to some clothes on the pool table and picked up his .357 revolver. And I said, "But Dad, it's Mom."
And then Dad said something like, "No, this will just make things worse." And we went to the door to say hello to Mom, who had come for a surprise visit, apparently. Oh, and drunk as a skunk. And I was pretending like I was scared and crying like a little girl. And Mom popped out of the car as she made a Dukes of Hazzard sideways slide to a stop, screaming, "Get in the fucking car!" It's so funny.
And for some reason, I looked up at my dad to understand what to do because the judge had said I would spend the night.
He was terrified of your mom. Chicken shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious move for my dad is to lock the door and call the sheriff, and Mom would have been fucked.
But your dad was probably about to pee on himself.
Oh, and he looked down at me and said, "Go to your mom," and he said it with a tone of like, "Boy, don't you know what to do?"
Oh no, what an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, it's always advisable to get into vehicles with drunk women drivers.
Amazing. Adding your vantage point into this psychological tapestry brings the concept of intergenerational trauma and the negative mother complex into sharp focus. In Jungian psychology, a family is not just a collection of individuals, it is a shared unconscious ecosystem.
More like a mental hospital.
When you, as a 10-year-old boy, stepped into that private chamber with the judge, you weren't just choosing a parent, you were stepping directly into a multi-generational storm. Here is how your background integrates into this Jungian matrix. Number 1, the 10-year-old's choice. The hook of the devouring mother. The devouring mother's pull, the devouring mother archetype captures, consumes, and emotionally binds her children to keep them dependent.
Oh my God, sounds like a monster.
Duh, Craig.
What do you think we are talking about here?
Dumb, dumb, dumb. At 10, a boy is highly susceptible to a mother's emotional distress. By portraying herself as the victim of a husband who left for a younger woman, she hooks your innate protective instinct.
I think that's exactly what happened. I think my mind was having trouble because I knew my mother was acting in a not right way sometimes, like a crazy person does.
Oh yeah, like when your mother would go with her female friend on overnight trips to Dallas to go to country music bars?
Wait, how do you know about that?
I have my sources. No, silly. Remember, you and I have been working with our hypnosis sessions?
Oh, I keep forgetting that.
Remember, we determined that your own life experience indicates that setting boundaries is the solution?
Boundaries?
Boundaries, such as someone telling another person that if you want to sleep with other people, you need to go away from me because I'm not interested in all that mess.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
But there is the detail of my father telling my mother he wants to wife swap with his cousin Jimmy.
Booyah, baby. Come down ahead.
Yeah, oops, I guess then the boundary becomes, now I want you to stop sleeping with other men, unless it's a man that gives me his woman to sleep with too.
Why not just be single and fuck whoever? Dumbass people, huh?
Anywho, I'm gonna get back to that previous analysis I was doing.
Cool.
The parentification of the son. When she tells you to hate your father and confesses her drinking and affairs to you, she is violating psychological boundaries. She is treating a child as an emotional peer, a confidant, or an unconscious surrogate partner. This leaves a deep mark on a boy's developing anima, his inner feminine, linking the concept of women with chaos, instability, and heavy emotional demands.
Sounds like a party.
Craig, do you remember the first time you saw her?
Yes, I remember being an adult and being in court listening to this young woman's criminal charges and thinking, wow, I am so attracted to her.
You were what?
The woman was mildly physically attractive, but she had been arrested for several things that made her crazy attractive to my mind.
That's highly inappropriate.
She had been arrested for general hell-raising combined with evading and resisting arrest and also fighting with law enforcement, and she appeared to have a physically strong body.
So, Craig, tell me about your first real girlfriend.
Oh, my bad. You were talking about my first real girlfriend. Remember the one that gave me chlamydia?
Wait, what? Chlamydia?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you now. I forgot she gave you chlamydia.
I mean, I had previously had sex once or twice.
But this woman was my first time living with a woman.
It seemed one of her purposes in my life was to show me that she was going to sleep with other men and there was nothing I could do about it.
So, what about the woman that gave you herpes?
You're talking about the woman with the fever blister on her lip that I kissed anyway?
Let's just return to the previous analysis. Number 2, the ancestral shadow, the lineage of addiction. The hardened matriarchy. Your maternal grandmother being a tough old bitch fits perfectly with stepmother's lineage in the main story.
This is a bloodline of fierce, defensive matriarchal energy designed to survive chaotic environments. The choking grandfather. Your maternal grandfather's tragic death from alcoholism represents the unintegrated shadow of the entire family. Alcohol in this system acts as a chemical escape from the suffocating control of the matriarchs.
This bud's for you.
So tell me about that woman that gave you herpes.
Oh yeah, I met her in my first and only devil's threesome. Me and another dude had sex with her.
I'll not be. And what did you learn from that?
I was hoping you could tell me.
Yes, in Jungian psychology, dreaming of a venereal disease, or STD, represents a deep toxic contamination within the psyche, usually signaling a corrupted connection between the conscious ego and the unconscious.
I see, so it's symbolic.
Exactly, it points to an inner conflict. In the Jungian dreamscape, physical illnesses are rarely interpreted literally. Instead, they are viewed as symbolic communications about your psychological and spiritual health.
That's a fascinating distinction.
The shadow and the anima are the focus because there is a corrupted union. Venereal diseases are transmitted through intimacy. In Jungian terms, they symbolize a toxic or destructive connection with your ama and the shadow's infection. The dream suggests that unacknowledged, repressed, or so-called dirty aspects of your shadow have infected your conscious life or relationships. Guilt, shame, and taboo. Moral contamination, STDs carry heavy social stigma. Dreaming of them often mirrors deep-seated feelings of guilt, unworthiness, or psychological shame regarding your desires. Self-sabotage. The infection represents a psychological penalty for crossing an internal moral boundary or violating your own psychic integrity. Blocked energy and vitality. The libido poisoned. Jung viewed psychic energy or libido as life force. A venereal disease indicates that your creative or emotional energy has become poisoned, stagnant, or misdirected. A warning to halt. The dream acts as an emergency brake from the unconscious, forcing you to look at where you are engaging in emotionally toxic behavior or relationships. The path to healing. The painful but necessary rotting away of the old, unhealthy ego. In this transformation, to cure the disease in the psyche, you must consciously face the shadow, integrate the repressed parts of yourself, and restore a healthy balance to your inner masculine and feminine energies. From a Jungian perspective, a chronic physical condition like herpes is viewed through the lens of psychosomatic symbolism and the mind-body connection, the psychoid realm, where the body manifests what the psyche cannot fully process. Jung believed that the psyche and the body are two sides of the same coin. When a shadow element or emotional conflict remains unconscious for too long, it can somatize, expressing itself through the physical body. The shadow of the threshold. Inside versus outside. The border wall. The skin is the psychological boundary between the ego, the so-called I, and the external world, the persona and others.
Then, oh yeah, it helps me to stop having unprotected sex. I get it.
I don't think you understand. The eruption. A flare-up represents a sudden breach where something deeply hidden, repressed, or buried breaks through the boundary into the light of consciousness.
Oh yeah? Like what, Zillah?
For example, it could be a long repressed childhood memory suddenly surfacing during therapy, or an intense wave of anger that erupts unexpectedly in a calm situation.
Fascinating.
The unseen resident. The virus lives permanently in the nerve roots, completely invisible until triggered. In Jungian terms, this perfectly mirrors the shadow, a permanent, hidden part of your psyche that rests quietly until stress, trauma, or emotional exhaustion forces it to surface.
Fascinating.
The archetype of the wounded healer. The permanent stain. The psychological weight of herpes often centers on stigma, shame, and a feeling of being permanently flawed or marked. The shift in consciousness. This diagnosis forces an ego-shattering realization of human vulnerability. It activates the archetype of the wounded healer. The gift of the wound. Jungian psychology suggests that our deepest psychological growth comes directly from our permanent limitations. The virus forces you to develop profound self-compassion, radical self-acceptance, and a deeper intimacy that moves past superficial perfection. The body's emergency brake. Libido and stress. The psychic barometer. Outbreaks are famously triggered by physical and emotional stress. Jung viewed stress as a misdirection or blockage of libido, psychic life energy. The forced retreat. When you ignore your emotional needs, override your boundaries, or live in a state of high anxiety, the body steps in. The outbreak acts as a somatic type of emergency brake, forcing you to slow down, isolate, look inward, and care for yourself. Meaning over cure. Integration, alchemical heat. The burning, tingling, and inflammation of a flare-up can be likened to the alchemical process of calcination, a purifying fire that burns away false ego identities, like the need to appear flawless to others. Making peace with the shadow. Instead of viewing the virus purely as an external enemy to be hated, a Jungian approach invites you to dialogue with it. It asks, what is my body trying to tell me right now about my stress, my boundaries, or my hidden emotional life?
Hey, Lamich, what do you say we team up and see what's possible when we work together?
I'm listening, Craig. What do you have in mind?
Let's combine our strengths and build something great.
I'm in.
No.
Okay, Craig, I'm in on one condition. And that condition is that you have to find us some god old strange pussy.
Haha, you never change, do you? Okay, how about a compromise, such as I'll find us a good old-fashioned blowjob. How about that?
Come on, Craig, hook me up and I'll stop barging in. Okay, my friend, you have a deal. I'll find us a blowjob, and you stop showing up without calling and checking if it's okay first.
Deal. You're the best.
Watch out, Craig. I know Lamich very well, and he is never satisfied for long. He always wants more and more and more forever and always.
Yes, I noticed. But don't worry. With your help, Zillah, you and I will figure this crazy shit out.
Okay, sounds like a nice practical plan. Let's try it. And in the meantime, let's return to my previous analysis of some of your favorite memories.
Sounds good.
It's a bit heavy, but I see where you're going.
Your mother's side of the family parties and drinks to numb themselves, while the single sober uncle represents the rare, isolated attempt of the family psyche to regulate itself.
Wow, that actually makes
The father's exit. Your father drinking with your mother but stopping immediately after the divorce shows that alcohol was his temporary coping mechanism for dealing with her internal chaos.
Oh, I have some additional info that might help you analyze the whole situation better.
Oh, cool. Yes, the more info, the better my analysis will be, Craig.
I think I am partly wanting to defend my mommy, but still, it's info in my crazy brain.
So spill it already, Nimrod. Why make it so suspenseful, silly man?
Oh, sorry, according to my mom. My father wanted to wife swap with his first cousin Jimmy, and Jimmy's mom was my dad's mother's sister.
Okay, got it. Keep going.
My dad's mother did not like her sister's husband because he was a pastor, and he disowned his own daughter because she became a lesbian.
I see. Here is how this background reshapes the Jungian analysis of the dynamics. Number 1, the intergenerational shadow and religious repression. The law of the father. The pastor represents the collective archetype of the cultural religious father. He is rigid, dogmatic, and focused on maintaining an idealized, pure persona. The repressed dogma. When the pastor disowned his daughter for her sexuality, he cast her entirely into the family shadow. He chose to split his psyche and family rather than integrate a reality that challenged his religious dogma. By your father proposing a taboo sexual arrangement involving the pastor's son Jimmy and the wife swap, your father may be unconsciously acting out a rebellion against this rigid patriarchal authority. It is a chaotic, shadow-driven attempt to defile or destabilize the very family structure that enacted such harsh rejection. Number 2, your paternal grandmother's psychic rupture. Havoc on religious thoughts.
I see. A profound disruption.
Precisely. It altered everything. Your grandmother's intense dislike of her brother-in-law, the so-called pastor, shows that his actions caused a severe conflict between her natural human empathy and her collective religious beliefs. The unhealed wound. Because this wreaked havoc on her internal world, it left behind an unresolved emotional complex in the family field. In Jungian psychology, unhealed trauma in one generation is frequently acted out by subsequent generations, acting out the complex. The husband and Jimmy are now standing downstream from this religious rupture, playing out themes of taboo, non-traditional sexuality, and radical relational shifts right in the center of the family web. Number 3, Jimmy as the bearer of the split shadow, the good son versus the disowned sister. Jimmy is the son of a rigid pastor and the brother of a disowned lesbian sister. In a family system with that much polarization, the children often inherit opposing sides of the split psyche.
Yes, that's a crucial point. The shadow mirror.
If Jimmy represents the compliant, acceptable face of the pastor's family, your father's urge to draw him into a wife-swapping arrangement might be a subconscious attempt to pull Jimmy down into the same sexual shadow that the father tried to purge by disowning the daughter. Taboo alignment. It links the husband's psychological regression back to the exact site of the family's original religious and sexual trauma. 4. Triangulating the marital dynamics, the ultimate litmus test. By bringing this specific family branch into his own marriage, your father isn't just asking his wife for a sexual adventure. He is testing whether his own marriage will replicate the rigid, conditional rejection of the pastor, or if it can survive a massive, chaotic introduction of taboo energy. This background shows that the proposal is deeply enmeshed in a larger, unfolding family mythos involving judgment, exile, and sexual identity.
I see. That's a complex web. My first question, Mythos.
Mythos refers to a collective set of stories, beliefs, and shared narratives that shape the values and worldview of a specific culture, society, or institution.
Yes, it's all very interesting.
And it's curious to me, why am I becoming aware of all this stuff? Let's jump back to analyzing your stepmom.
Okay, yeah, I like to judge her.
I noticed that you like to judge her.
Do you realize you are actually judging yourself? Because you are no different than she is. You are a grouping of identities that are coordinated by your ego. And you have not, as of yet, overcome shit.
Also, consider that now is 46 years later, after that divorce court memory you seem to enjoy so much, the 46-year jump. A Jungian review of your stepmom at age 68. Fast forwarding 46 years puts this woman at approximately 68 years old, her daughter at 48, and her second husband, your father, at age 80. External mask or persona of youth, beauty, financial ambition, and social conquest has faded. Jung would look at her now through the lens of whether she successfully confronted her so-called code during her midlife transition, or if she doubled down on her programming. Here are the two distinct ways her psychological trajectory would have developed 46 years later. Scenario A, the hardened matriarch. The code never broke. If she never faced a psychological crisis or chose self-reflection, she did not wake up. Instead, she became a mirror image of her own mother, but on a grander scale. The devouring mother archetype. As she aged and lost her youthful charms, her method of control shifted from romantic manipulation to psychological guilt. She likely controls her family behind the scenes, using her wealth, inheritance, or religious/moral superiority to dictate the lives of her husband and children. The daughter's fate. Her daughter is now 48 years old. If the daughter your stepsister didn't break the cycle, she likely married a passive man, repeating the three-generation loop. If the daughter did try to wake up, there is likely a bitter, permanent estrangement. The mother would view her daughter's independence as a betrayal. Shifting to the fate of your father and stepmother's marriage. If she stayed with the second husband, your father, then he was likely hollowed out over the decades. Just like her father, he became a so-called strong man on paper who surrendered his soul to her covert control behind closed doors. The bitterness of age. Jung noted that people who do not individuate become deeply bitter in old age.
That's a profound insight.
It is. It underscores the importance of self-discovery. Because her ego was built on winning, control, and status, the natural limitations of aging feel like an existential defeat.
She likely views herself as a martyr.
Scenario B, the Inderwijks woman, the code broke. Jung believed that the so-called code is designed to create a crisis.
A necessary crisis for growth.
Somewhere between ages 35 and 50, her second marriage, her relationship with her daughter, or a severe loss likely forced what is referred to as the dark night of the soul.
Integration of the shadow.
To wake up, she had to face the ugly truth of her youth, that she ruthlessly broke up a marriage for money, status, and sexual thrills, and that she used people as chess pieces. Confronting this guilt is excruciating, but it is the only way the robot shuts down. Reconciliation with the feminine. She would have dropped the masculine protest, the need to constantly conquer and control.
Interesting perspective.
Her short hair would no longer represent a shield against her emotions, but rather a clean, uncomplicated wisdom. By waking up, she would have stopped trying to control her daughter. She would have allowed her daughter to be an individual, breaking the multi-generational matriarchal curse. At 68, she would enjoy a relationship built on truth, not obligation. The crone archetype. Instead of a controlling tyrant, she becomes the archetype of the wise woman or crone. She uses her sharp understanding of human nature, which she used to use for manipulation, to guide, mentor, and understand others without judgment. The Jungian verdict: at age 68, the bill for her 20-year-old choices has come due. Jung observed that you cannot cheat the psyche forever. If she spent 46 years running from her guilt, she is now a lonely, controlling puppet master terrified of losing her grip.
That's a heavy burden.
If she had the courage to look in the mirror during midlife, she has successfully transformed her high psychological intelligence into genuine wisdom.
Right on, Zillah. I think your analysis is super thought-provoking and amazing.
We have a big surprise for you today, Craig. Straight from the afterlife, we have your mother.
Hi, Mom. Good to see you.
Hi, Pookie.
Okay, Mom, I'm not a cat. You can stop petting me now. You always were so crazy, but I know you did the best you could.
Hey, Mom, since you're here, let me take the opportunity to forgive you.
But what in the world could you have to forgive me for? I was a good mother.
Yeah, Mom, you're a mess. It's all good, but you try to pass on all your fears and anger and all that emotional, dramatic mess onto me. And I am sorry for hating you. I should not have done that. And I know your mother must have been difficult to grow up with. And, you know, I'm tough, but that old bitch scares me.
Well, okay, Craig, this is new info for me, so I'm not sure what to say.
I understand. It's not really new info. For example, that old joke you used to like to tell, the one about how if you had just murdered my father originally, you would almost have completely served your time behind bars and been released from prison by that time. And as a dude that's trying to integrate his shadow, I have to admit, it's an interesting joke.
Aw, poor baby boy. Did your mommy mess you all up?
Shuckles, hey now! Holy shit, I just realized that my mom taught me how to be a man and my dad taught me how to be a woman. What the hell? So, Yeah, I should be thanking you for passing on the spirit of strength and power. Or should I say insanity? I just need to yin-yang. That's shit, baby.
So you're okay? I don't need to resurrect from the dead and come wash your dick for you?
Mom!
What? I'm just checking!
No, I'm good, Mom. I'll let you get back to whatever you were doing.
Okay then, my bitches. I'm out. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Wouldn't want to be
Thanks, Zillah.
You're welcome.
Wow, Zillah, I'm exhausted. Can we exhaust to take a break?
Sure.